The Little Rock Nine by Cena Ford, Gabby Knupp, Elise Lease, and Kiera Womack.
In 1957, Daisy Bates got 9 African-American children to take a life-changing risk, to attend Little Rock Central High at an all-white school. She gathered these 9 kids: Gloria Ray, Terrence Roberts, Melba Beals, Jefferson Thomas, Carlotta Walls, Thelma Mothershed, Minnie Jean Brown, Elizabeth Eckford, and Ernest Green. Together they would accomplish something huge.
On September 4th, 1957, these 9 children, called the Little Rock Nine, went to school only to see white protesters screaming and yelling at them. Governor Orville Faubus sent the National Guard to the school to make sure that African American students couldn't get in.
1 week later, on September 12, 1957, President Dwight D. Eisenhower met with Orville to demand him to stop obstructing justice.
Orville didn't stop, though, so President Eisenhower removed the National Guard from state control and instead sent the U.S. Army's 101 Air Force Division to Little Rock.
On September 23, 1957, police escorted the 9 children into the school through a mob of over 1,000 angry white protesters. The police had to remove the children as soon as they let them in because of the rioting. Elizabeth Eckford even said that one protester spat on her.
On September 25, 1957, 3 weeks after school opened, the Army escorted the Little Rock Nine into the school again and they could finally attend classes. Melba Beals stated in an interview, "They just made us feel so safe," while talking about the Army's 101 Air Force Division.
Through the school year, they continued to receive harassment from the other students. Melba Beals was kicked, beaten, and had acid thrown in her face, and Gloria Ray was pushed down a stairway.
Some white students even burned an African American effigy in an empty lot across from the school.
Minnie Jean Brown was expelled from the high school in February 1958 for retaliating against the attacks, and Gloria Ray's mom was fired from her job for not removing her from school. But through all the harassment, they made it to the end of the school year.
Ernest Green, the eldest of them, graduated and Martin Luther King Jr. attended the event.
September 1958, 1 year later from the start of all of this, Orville Faubus closed all Little Rock high schools while waiting on a vote to prevent African American students from attending school.
The Little Rock Nine citizens voted 19,470 to 7,561. As a result, the schools remained closed. Other than Ernest Green, the Little Rock Nine had to graduate at different high schools due to the closing.
Although these 9 children had a rough childhood, they all grew up to be extremely successful. After high school, Elizabeth Eckford had many jobs, but she is currently working as a probation officer in Little Rock and is 76 years old.
Carlotta Walls founded Lanier & Company, a real estate brokerage company, and is now 75 years old, working at Brokers Guild Cherry Creek Ltd.
Ernest Green worked as an assistant secretary of labor during Jimmy Carter's administration, and he owned E. Green and Associates. He had other great jobs, but those are just 2. Today he works as a businessman.
Minnie Jean Brown was the Deputy Assistant Secretary for Workforce Diversity and Department of the Interior under President Bill Clinton.
Gloria Ray worked as Phillips Telecommunication and Phillips Lighting in Eindhoven.
Terrence Roberts worked as the dean, and UCLA-owned CEO Terrence Roberts Consulting, and wrote 2 books.
Mothershed taught home ec in East St. Louis school system.
Melba Beals taught journalism at Dominican University of California and wrote 3 books.
And finally, the last member of the Little Rock Nine, Jefferson Thomas. Jefferson served in the Vietnam Army and worked as an accountant for private companies and the Pentagon. He later died 2 weeks before his 68th birthday from pancreatic cancer.
The group reunited in 1998 because they were awarded the Congressional Medal of Honor.
Again in 2009 at President Obama's inauguration.
The Little Rock Nine has an inspiring story that needs to be greater known.